Hi everyone, and welcome back to my channel. If you are new here, my name is Barbara and I love to create budget-friendly decor. So if that is something that interests you, I hope you will consider hitting the subscribe button and the bell notification to be notified the next time I upload a new video. And if you enjoyed today's video, please like, comment, and share with your friends. It really helps my channel to grow. This is the fourth episode in my Christmas 2020 series. So if you missed my 3 previous videos, I will have links to each one of them in my description box below. I am really excited to share with you all how I created these 3 Christmas decor DIYs using items from Dollar Tree and Dollar General. So let's go ahead and get started with our first project. I'm going to be using this yard stake sign from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to remove the 3 signs from the yard stake, and I'm just going to be using those 3 signs. And to help with the process, I used my hairdryer to loosen up the glue so that I would not damage these pieces too much as I remove them, because once you assemble this piece together, you will be able to see the back part of these signs. I am also using this nice thick MDF sign from Dollar General for $2, and I'm going to go ahead and again use my hairdryer to loosen that glue up so that I can remove these stickers from the back. Then I'm going to take some 100 grit sandpaper, and you can get a package of different grit sandpaper from Dollar Tree. I'm using 100 grit so that I can get in between all the lettering because I had some rough edges and I wanted to have a nice smooth finish. And to get all of that excess glitter off of this sign, I used my hairdryer again to loosen up that glue so that I can easily sand all of the glitter down so it would be nice and smooth. Then I'm going to take my Waverly chalk paint in the color ink, and I am going to paint this entire sign except for the front of it. I do take my time and get in between all of the lettering. This is a little bit time consuming, but I thoroughly enjoy painting. I find it to be very relaxing. This only takes 1 coat and you get really good coverage on there. So this is how it looks once the paint has dried, and I tried to make sure that I did not get very much paint on the front of the sign, because I'm going to be painting the S, the N, and the W in my Waverly chalk paint in white. I'm not going to paint the snowflake because I'm going to do something a little different with the snowflake. So this does take 2 coats of the white paint, and if you get a little bit of dripping or if it gets on the outside, just wipe the excess off, let that dry, and then you can go back over the spots that the paint got onto with a black marker. I painted all 3 of the signs with 2 coats of the Waverly chalk paint in white, and I did go ahead and get the front and the back. I think these are going to make the perfect snowman because I love the design at the top and the bottom. I also will be using 3 of the tumbling tower game pieces that you can purchase from Dollar Tree, and I give those 1 coat of paint in the Waverly chalk paint in the color white as well. And this is how these signs look once the 2 coats have dried. So those have some really good coverage from the chalk paint. So for the snow sign, to cover up the snowflake, I am using a piece of buffalo check scrapbook paper from Hobby Lobby, and I just line it up where I want the design to be on the snowflake, and then I flip the sign over and use my pencil to trace around the snowflake, trying to make sure that I get in between all of the grooves because there are a lot of little pieces on there. Now you do want to leave some excess on each of the sides where the letter N and the letter W are, so that you can create the snowflake design to go over top of that. So I just saved a piece of what I already cut out to hold that over top of those places so that I could trace that out and have the same design on the N and the W. And then once I trace that out, again, I'll just cut that down with my scissors. Then I took my pencil and I wanted the S to stand out more than just blending in with the N. So I just drew the outline of the S, and then I will go over where I put my pencil marks with an oil-based black Sharpie. And then I do go ahead and go a little bit down on the N and the W just in case you could see that once I put the scrapbook paper on there. Then to apply the scrapbook paper, I'm going to be using some matte Mod Podge. And I put a nice even coat on top of the sign. and then place the paper on there and make sure there's no wrinkles or creases. And then I'll put a nice even coat on top of my scrapbook paper to seal that in. Now I let mine dry for several hours before I get any of the excess paper off. And because there's a lot of grooves and different shapes on the snowflake, and there are very small spaces, I am using a fingernail file to get in between all of those grooves. Now I just use my fingernail file going in one direction, trying to be careful not to rip or tear any of the scrapbook paper. And I'll go all the way around the snowflake until I get a nice smooth finish. I'm using 3 of these wooden snowflake stickers from Dollar Tree, and I removed the foam sticker portion off of the back, and I accidentally broke one. So I thought, well, I'll just glue this back together when I put it together, but it actually worked out in my favor. Everything happens for a reason, and I'll show you what I mean in just a little while when I put these snowflakes on there. It was such a blessing that it broke. So I painted each one of the snowflakes just on the front and in between all the little grooves with the Waverly white chalk paint, and this only took 1 coat. And then once I get all of those painted, excuse me, I'm going to set those to the side to dry. And then I am using some quartz paint stir sticks. You can get these from Lowe's in a package of 30 for $1. I cut the rounded tip off, and then I'm going to hold this up to my sign to see how long I want this piece to be, because this is going to be the rim of the hat. So I go ahead and do this for each one of the signs and cut 3 of the craft sticks down. Then this is completely optional, but I didn't want mine to have such pointy, sharp edges, so I took some sandpaper and just rounded those corners off. Then I'm going to take the craft sticks and lay them on top of the sign to determine where I want the hat rim to be. And then I'll take my pencil and draw above those craft sticks so that when I get ready to paint, I will know not to paint below those lines. So I'm going to paint the tops of the signs and these craft sticks with my Waverly chalk paint and ink. And I am going to paint the front and the back of these signs because, again, you will be able to see the back of the sign once it's all put together. And I just try to keep the angle the same on the back as what I have on the front. And as you see me taking this off camera, it's because I'm using my hairdryer to dry it so that when I put it back on the table, I don't smear or smudge that paint. And if I use my hairdryer on the table, then the craft sticks will blow away. So I'm going to paint the tops of these signs for the hats, and then I'm going to paint each one of the craft sticks completely on the front side, and then the back side, just the 2 outside edges, because you will be able to see parts of that once you apply this to the sign. So I just free-handed the faces on the snowmen. If you don't feel comfortable doing that, you can always print out an image and trace it or transfer it on there. I'm using an ultra-fine Sharpie marker and my oil-based Sharpie marker. And I'm also going to be using some Folk Art Pure Orange acrylic paint for the nose. So I initially went with the ultra-fine to go on the outline of all of the pieces of their face, and then I filled in the eyes with the oil base, but I like the thickness of the oil base and I thought that it would make it stand out more. So after I paint the nose, I do go back over the eyebrows and the mouth with the oil based Sharpie I just think it gave it more of a pop. And then once the paint dries on the nose, I go around the outline of the nose with the fine tip, and then I draw a couple of lines on each one of the noses just to make it look like more of a realistic carrot. And then once I'm finished with that, I'm going to attach the rims of the hats with hot glue. And I'm going to do that for all 3 pieces. And then I'm going to attach the snowflakes to the top of the hat. And this is how the snowflake breaking worked in my favor, because the smaller snowman's top of his hat would not have held the full snowflake. It would have stood off the top of the hat, so it worked out absolutely perfect. Then I'm going to take the 3 tumbling tower pieces and I am going to glue these to the back of the snow sign. And I just make sure that I line it up so that you won't be able to see the tumbling tower pieces from the front of the sign. So as I'm holding it up, I'm just determining where I want each of the snowmen to be and making sure that you can't see those tower pieces from the front. Now I go ahead and hold the snowman up because the bottom edges are not straight, and then I hold the sign up so I can make sure that as I'm putting them together, they're straight and that it will be able to stand freely. I go ahead and attach the 2 outside snowmen first so that when I get ready to put the one in the center, I can leave an equal amount of space on each side of the snowman so it would look a little bit more cohesive. And I absolutely love how this project turned out. I think this is so cute, so adorable. I really enjoyed making it, and I hope you enjoy it too. Let me know in the comments down below if you liked project number 1. Before we begin our next project, today's video is part of the Friend Friday Hop, which is hosted by Heidi Samble at Heidi Samble DIY. So when you are finished watching my video, please go into my description box and click on the link to see the next lady's video and see what lovely creations she has made. And don't forget about the huge giveaway. In order to participate in the giveaway, you have to leave a comment on each one of the ladies that participated in this Friday's Friend Hop. The winner of the giveaway will be announced next Friday, the following Friday, on our community tab. So stay tuned and make sure you check out the community tab next Friday to see who won this huge giveaway. For project number 2, I am using these wood craft cubes from Dollar Tree. They come in the Crafter Square section and they come 36 in a pack. I am also using some Gorilla Wood glue and some hot glue. So I've gone ahead and set out 4 rows of 9 cubes, and I am going to put some wood glue on there and then put some hot glue, and then I'll hold 2 of the cubes together, pressing very tightly, making sure that I keep it straight and as tight as possible. And I'm going to do that for all 9 of these cubes to create one long piece. And again, just making sure that you're pressing as firm as you can and keep it as straight as you can. Now, the Gorilla Wood glue is going to give that more of a permanent hold, and the hot glue is just going to hold it together until the Gorilla Wood glue sets up. So now that I have 4 of those separate sections, and the glue has dried, I'm going to use some 80 grit sandpaper, and I just sanded off all of the excess glue so that I'd have a nice smooth finish. I'm using 2 of these signs from Dollar Tree, and I've gone ahead and removed the metal hangers from the back of both of these signs. And then I'm going to use my hair dryer, or if you have a heat tool, to loosen the glue up so that I can remove the stickers as well as the pieces from the inside of the sign. And I do have to use a screwdriver to get that little block off of there. I've gone ahead and sanded down those pieces as well as the stickers on the back. And then I'm going to use my Waverly chalk paint in white, and I'm going to paint each one of these, I'm going to call them cube sticks, 2 coats of paint in the Waverly chalk paint in white. And then I'm going to paint both of the signs as well, 2 thin coats, allowing that paint to dry in between the coats. And I'm going to paint the outside and the inside of both of these signs. And then I'm going to be using 4 of the tumbling tower piece games from Dollar Tree, 1 of the cubes, some Gorilla Wood glue, and my hot glue again. So I'm going to put the wood glue and the hot glue in between 2 of the tumbling tower pieces, gluing those 2 together, and then taking the 2 sets that I created and gluing them on top of each other, and then I put the cube in the center on the top. Then I'm using one of these book rings that come in a package from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to glue that on top of the cube. And then once that glue has set, I'm going to put a ton of glue on top of that to hold that book ring on top of the cube. Then I'm using one of these very thin wood snowflake ornaments from Dollar Tree. And I go ahead and give that one coat of paint, and I actually paint the front and the back because you will be able to see both sides and get in between all of those grooves. And then I'm also going to paint what is now going to become like the handle on the top of our decor piece, and that as well takes 2 coats of paint. And then once I have those painted, I'm going to assemble these pieces together once all of the paint has dried on all of these pieces. So I'm going to put my wood glue on the actual cube stick, and then I'm going to put a good amount of hot glue on each sides of those corners and the bottom. And then I'm going to put the cube stick in there, making sure that I press firmly into the corners and making sure that that is straight. And I'm going to do that for all 4 pieces in all 4 corners. And then to attach the top part, the top sign on top of these, I am going to put the wood glue again on the cube pieces, and then I'm going to put the hot glue in the corners of each of the sign, trying to move as fast as I can so that that hot glue doesn't set before I can put it on top of those cube pieces. And you try to make sure that you can keep it as straight as possible and press those corners firmly into the corners at the top part of the sign. Now this could be a lantern or a decorative piece or whatever you like. I'm going to go ahead and attach the handle in the same way. Of course, this handle's for decorative purposes. I wouldn't pick it up by the handle. And I'm just centering that in the top, and then I'm going to attach the snowflake on the back side with just a little bit of hot glue on each side of the snowflake. And then to decorate this, I'm going to be using one of the red sleigh ornaments from Dollar Tree. This is so cute. It already has a really pretty decorative bow and some greenery on there. And I'm also going to be using one of these picks from Dollar Tree. And I just wanted the berries and then the holly leaves. So I just take that apart, and then I glue the holly leaves in front of the handle. And then I just pulled the berries apart and separated those out a little bit. And I do glue some of the leaves down just a little bit so they don't stand straight up. And then I'm using one of the flameless candles, again from Dollar Tree. And I'm just going to place that into the sled and then place the sled inside of our decorative piece. And I think this turned out so cute. I love the way you can see the snowflake in the back. It is absolutely adorable. You could put any kind of decorative touch you want inside of there instead of a sleigh. You could put a larger flameless candle. I really enjoyed this project, and I hope that you enjoyed it as well. So moving on to our third project for the video, I am using these 2 tapestry placemats that I purchased from Dollar General for $2 a piece. They're very thick, very nice quality placemats, and I picked 2 of the same kind. And I am just going to turn the top, once I remove the tags from these placemats, I'm also going to be using some polyfill. I got this from Hobby Lobby. It's $2.99, and I used a 40% coupon on it. So it was, I guess, what, like $1.90, something like that. And I'm going to be using some hot glue, so you don't even have to sew on this project. So I just flipped the top one over so that the 2 pretty sides are facing each other. And then I'm going to run a bead of hot glue on the outside edge of where the seam is already sewn. And then I'm going to press the top of the placemat on top of the bottom and let that glue set up. And I'm just taking my time to make sure that I keep those edges as straight as possible. And I'm going to do this around the entire piece except for the center of the bottom of the placemats so that I can fill this with the polyfill. So I left about 4, maybe 4.5 inches of the center open. And you do want to make sure you take your time and let that glue set up before you turn it inside out. And then I just turned mine inside out. Because these are nice and thick and good quality, I didn't even have to cut the corners off before I flipped them around. I just pushed the corners out as much as I can. And then I'm going to fill it up with the polyfill and making sure that I get a good amount in each one of those corners and fluffing it as I go. And the polyfill actually, because I made 2 of these pillows exactly the same, there was enough in the polyfill bag from Hobby Lobby to fill both of these pillows up. And I still had just a tiny bit extra. And then to close up the bottom, I'm just going to fold it over the same amount that the seam was to begin with. And I'm going to do small sections at a time so that I can keep that straight. I'm just going to run my glue across there and then push that together and hold it and let that set up before I move on to the next section. So again, I can keep that nice and straight going across the bottom. And then this project is complete. I think this is absolutely adorable. I hope you enjoyed this project as well. Please let me know in the comments down below if you have a favorite, and if so, which one. Thank you so much for watching, and please don't forget to check out the link in my description box below and go check out the next lady's video. Please take care, and I will see you guys next time.